Welcome back to Profit Path, your daily source for stock market and finance news. Today is August 26th, 2025, and markets are showing cautious moves following last week's record-setting rally. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing for clear, concise, and timely financial updates. The Dow Jones Industrial Average traded slightly lower today, as investors digested recent gains and shifting interest rate expectations. The blue chip index fell 29.83 points, or 0.1%. The Nasdaq composite posted modest gains today, with strength in mega-cap technology stocks continuing to support the index. Turning to today's economic news, investors are now focused on the upcoming release of job market and inflation data, which could provide clearer signals on the Federal Reserve's next move. On Friday, the US will publish the latest inflation readings, which will influence market expectations regarding the Fed's future policy actions. Expectations are that inflation might have picked up in July, potentially leading to further rate hikes. This shift in expectations comes after last week's robust jobs report, which showed that the economy added 187,000 jobs in July, more than twice what economists had anticipated. Following Jerome Powell's remarks at Jackson Hole last Friday, expectations for a quarter-point rate cut in September have risen, with traders pricing in an 80% probability. However, if today's inflation data reveals a hotter-than-expected reading, it could bolster the case for continued rate hikes, thereby increasing the likelihood of a September rate hike. This would be in line with the hawkish message delivered by Fed officials recently, including Dallas Fed President Lori Logan and Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin, who both emphasized the need to keep monetary policy restrictive to bring down inflation. Adding to the complexity of the situation, oil prices climbed above $90 a barrel today, raising renewed concerns about inflationary pressures. The price of West Texas Intermediate crude increased by 1.7% to settle at $90.74 a barrel. A significant factor driving oil prices higher is the recent announcement by Saudi Arabia and Russia extending their voluntary export cuts until the end of the year. These production reductions aim to tighten global oil supplies and increase prices. Additionally, geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and North Africa are contributing to market uncertainty and volatility, further impacting oil prices. Now let's briefly look at some global market highlights. In Europe, the FTSE 100 slipped 0.2%, weighed down by weaker-than-expected industrial activity in August. Across Asia, the Nikkei advanced 0.5% today. And that's it for today's video. We hope you found it informative. To recap, US markets are steady, with the Dow and S&P consolidating and the Nasdaq supported by tech. Global markets remain mixed as investors watch inflation data and the Fed's policy outlook. Do you believe the market is preparing for another leg higher, or are we due for a pullback? Share your perspective in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Profit Path for daily insights into stocks, crypto, and finance. Thanks for watching.